Hello everyone, my name is Jolene Schaefer. I'm the Marketing Coordinator for SWK Technologies. I'd like to welcome you to our webinar, Top 5 CRM Strategies for Running a Successful Remote Office, presented by Peter Wolf of Azamba Consulting Group. A little housekeeping before we get started. Everyone has been placed on mute to keep the background noise down. However, you can submit any questions you have throughout the webinar. To submit a question, look for the question section in your GoToWebinar. We will answer all questions at the end of the presentation. We are recording this presentation and it will be distributed tomorrow to all attendees as well as to those who registered but were not able to attend. Please take a moment at the end of the presentation to answer our 2-question survey. With that said, we appreciate you taking time out of your busy day to attend our webinar. We're here to help you get the most out of your software solutions and help you find an easier way to run your business by providing you software and industry knowledge, tools, and support whenever you need it. We've invited Azamba Consulting Group here today because they are the industry experts on CRM. So whether you're here doing research for a new solution or you're just here to learn, we'd like to encourage you to ask any questions throughout the webinar. Lastly, as a quick reminder, SWK is constantly sharing important updates and software tips and tricks on our social media channels. So we encourage you to follow us on Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Without further ado, I'll hand it over to Peter.
Well, thanks, Jolene. I appreciate the kind words and the introduction and the opportunity to share some strategies on CRM with your customers. Let me do this. Can you see my screen okay, Jolene?
Yep, it looks great.
Okay, awesome. All right, everybody, thanks for joining me today. Just a quick little bit about me. I've been helping companies, this actually needs to be updated, since 2000 with CRM. Our focus is helping small and medium-sized companies really become more profitable, lean and mean and profitable through the use of CRM. We've helped, I think we've helped over 400 SMBs. Most of our SMB customers are integrated with Sage 100 using Sage CRM. It's a great solution, and if you have Sage 100 or another Sage accounting software, it's a really good fit. And then there's other solutions out there that are great for people that don't have those accounting softwares. So let me go on with the presentation here today. If there's any questions, obviously you can put a question in the chat or you can connect with me afterwards at pwolf@azamba.com. So right now, CRM is on the rise. It's really blowing up. A lot of people are looking at CRM solutions, and I believe a big part of that is because we now live in what I call a customer experience economy. And you know, it's easy to say, oh, well, we've always been there. You know, customers have always called the shots. But the truth is, today more than ever, customers kind of drive the way our businesses have to respond so quickly to customers, the way customers have less tolerance for mistakes. I think that really drives this evolution of the customer experience economy, and it really kind of makes us all evaluate our businesses and figure out how to do things better. And on top of that, not only do we live in this customer experience economy, we've hopefully temporarily been pushed into this remote world. And so a lot of us, for the first time ever, are managing teams of people out on the field, no longer in the office. You can't go down the hallway and say, hey, Jolene, what's going on with this deal? Or, hey, what's happening with this customer here? So it's more important than ever that we figure out mitigation strategies to make sure that we can take care of our customers, our prospects, our partners, and each other in this remote world. And I think a big part of what taking care of each other really comes down to is it's really this slide. I think you're going to hear me say this a couple times throughout this presentation, but customers today demand a consistently high quality experience. And the truth of the matter is, if we don't provide it, they'll find someone who will. Again, maybe we can say customers always call the shots, but more than ever, our customers, our prospects, if we don't take care of them, they can go out to Google, do a quick search, and figure out someone else to call. And so it's important that we stay on top of things, that we provide them great answers, that we take care of them, we have a personalized connection with them. And if we don't, they're going to find someone who will. And traditional differentiators out there that we've all relied on for years. I have some customers who have been in business for 30, 40, 50 years. They've built up, they're the local experts, they're specialists. Maybe you have the lowest prices for your target, your market, your product, your services. You've spread through word of mouth. All those things, unfortunately, in today's day and age, they've kind of have started to fade away, and they're just no longer there for us to rely on. We can no longer keep up doing what we've been doing and expect that we're going to have the same results. And the truth of the matter is, in the last 15 years, 52% of corporate 500 have disappeared. There's real world scenarios going on here. Businesses are not lasting as long as they used to. This isn't just theory or feelings of pressure. What you're feeling is actually real and it's backed up by the data. If you opened a business in 1955, the average life expectancy was 75 years. Nowadays, opening a business, the average life expectancy, and that's if you get past the first couple of years, which are the most strenuous for a new business, but the average life expectancy is 15 years. And so it just, things are changing so quickly out there. And what we're seeing as some of the common business killers are, it really boils down to, in my opinion, fragmented teams, and all these other things kind of come from that. So when I say fragmented teams, I don't just mean your sales team isn't talking to your accounting and not talking to your service team. I'm saying even within the sales team, a lot of companies that we talk to will have Joe salesperson and Susan salesperson don't speak to each other. They don't really have any visibility. They're still doing things in Outlook and spreadsheets or using accounting data, and they really have a lot of fragmentation. So it's not just our different departments aren't speaking together. The teams themselves are not speaking together well. Maybe you're reporting back to your sales management with spreadsheets. It leads to inconsistent messaging. So when a customer calls in, if we're not all on the same page, we'll give inconsistent messaging across each individual at your company. But even within a customer, they might get inconsistent messages. So if I take a customer call that one of my coworkers is working on, if I don't have a way to figure out what my coworker had been talking to them about, what they had purchased in the past, what quotes are out there, what service calls they've opened up for us recently or with us recently, my messaging might be different than someone who's intimately aware of their account. It also leads to slow response time. So I think we can all empathize with this. Nothing is worse than calling up what you think is going to be an easy answer and being told that you have to be put on hold, or worse, someone will call you back. And then even worse is if they forget to follow up and they don't call you back and you have to call them. In today's day and age, that's only going to happen so many times before people will start to look at their alternative options out there. Uninformed responses, that kind of goes along with inconsistent messaging. If I don't know what that customer's interested in, they call and I pick up the phone and their usual account rep isn't available or their usual service person isn't available and I take that call, I'm not going to know what's going on. It's kind of like calling a cable company. So I called my cable company the other day and they transferred me to 3 different agents, and each agent had to ask me my life story all over again. They had no idea who I was. They had no idea, how long of a customer I had been with them. They had no idea I had a business account. They thought I was a residential account. And so it's as a customer, if I had a choice in my neighborhood of cable companies, that'd be my first call. They're lucky. Most of us are not that lucky that we have a monopoly in our areas. And then unsatisfying experiences. So all this kind of blends together to create what I would just say is just generally unsatisfying experiences. And again, it goes back to that first slide I showed, or that second slide, where we need to deliver consistent, high quality experiences if we expect people to keep sticking around, working with us. It's always easier to keep a customer than it is to find new customers. We need to change this. The number one root cause of all of this, and I've kind of hinted at this, is everybody is living in silos of information. So if I'm managing my accounts and my work through spreadsheets and Outlook, that might be okay, but in reality, it's not okay because it leads to those other problems I was talking about, because my world is separated from my coworkers' world. And not only in the sales department, but within the entire organization, we don't know, the left hand doesn't know what the right hand is doing. And that truly just doesn't cut it anymore in today's day and age. We need to break down those barriers and make sure that everyone's on the same page. And what's worse than these silos is now the silos are all isolated. We're all working from our home offices. And again, you can't just go walk down the hall and poke your head over someone's cubicle or stop in their office or meet at the conference room to find out what's going on. And I don't want to make this about the virus itself and the response to the virus, because I believe that the world has been trending towards remote workforces for a long time. So I think that in the future, we all do need to keep our eye on the prize of managing our teams effectively and efficiently and profitably, even with remote workforces. Those people might be working from home, satellite offices, what have you, but I think that's going to become more and more of a trend. I personally, over the last 20 years, have seen a huge growing number of my customers now doing remote work. It's really amazing, actually, in some ways, because it allows you to have more flexibility. People have better work-life balance when they're working from home, and you can serve more remote regions than if everyone's based out of a certain geographic region, and then you have a hub and spoke model. So if you have a remote workforce where people are working from home, it really opens up the doors to penetrate new geographic models, or I'm sorry, geographic regions. The good news is all hope is not lost. There are 3 companies in particular I want to talk about today, and just kind of show there are companies that are kind of rising above with this remote workforce, this customer experience economy. So there's Uber, who I think most people know. You know, you can, in the old days, if you wanted to get a cab, you had to, you know, stand outside and wave your arms frantically and hope someone stopped, or you'd call ahead. Uber has changed that, flipped that on its head. Now, if you want to get a ride, I'm going to give a personal anecdote here. We would take a trip to my wife is from New England, so we take a trip home to her family at least once a year, and we used to call the cab for a ride to the airport. And we would call the night before, and they'd tell you, oh, we'll call you an hour before your ride to confirm. And so we had to get up an hour before, you know, at 5 o'clock in the morning to get a call from the cab company to tell you someone's going to be there in the next 45 minutes to an hour. And what a horrible, dreadful, rotten experience that was. And then sometimes they would not show up, and you'd be panicking, you'd be sweating because your plane's taken off and you need to get to the airport. When Uber came around, like most people, we weren't sure about it, and so we decided to test it out, and we found the morning of, we pinged, and within 3 minutes someone was at our door, and we left for the airport. Amazing experience, and it just kind of shows you the way a company can really respond and treat their customers well. American Express is another one. I don't know how many of you use American Express. I've used them in the past. I haven't used them, but you know, more and more, it's really about, for me, it's about the service levels that they offer. They know how to take care of their customers. They know who you are if you're one of their members. In fact, they were one of the original companies that talked about membership. So they didn't treat you just as a customer. You were a member of their programs. And so they know how to treat their customers. And if you've ever used them, if you've ever had a problem while traveling, they're going to take care of you. They're going to pull up your information. They know who you are. They know your habits. They know personal experiences that you've had, and they're going to take really good care of you. It's just really an amazing example. I'm going to go into it a little bit more here in a bit. And then Zappos. So a lot of times people don't know who Zappos are. If you ever bought shoes online, you probably know who Zappos are or is. Zappos is a shoe store online. And if you think about a company that's less likely to succeed online than a shoe company, you'll have to tell me what it is. But if you think about buying, getting shoes, trying them on, that's a very physical experience usually. But Zappos has made a success of doing this all online because they create a consistent experience for their customers. You know what you're going to get. With all 3 of these companies, you know what you're going to get. I have had an Uber driver cancel on me at the last minute because they couldn't locate me. But generally speaking, the experience for all 3 of these companies kind of shows you what a consistent, high quality experience can deliver, because each of these brands is well known and well regarded. So let's move on. And what's the common ground between all of these companies? They're efficient. So instead of being just effective, and there's nothing wrong with being effective, but being effective means doing the right things. Actually, I'm sorry, they are effective and they're efficient, but being efficient isn't bad because that's doing things the right way, the lowest cost way. But being effective is what really sells and really pushes things forward. So being effective means if you ask me for something, I'm going to go the extra mile to deliver it to you, even if that might not be the most cost efficient way to do things. So Uber, for example, will, you know, if they have a driver that cancels on you, a lot of times you'll get immediately like a credit or a feedback form saying, you know, sorry that happened to you. What's going on there? Obviously, it's all automated, but still, it shows that they are interested. They're measuring. They're really trying to be better at what they do. Most of these companies also are emotionally focused versus product focused. So what that means is anybody can sell a product, but the really great companies are selling emotions. And again, I'm going to use the American Express example. Early on, they were a credit card company, right? But they weren't just a credit card company. They wanted you to feel exclusivity. They used to have their gold cards, and membership has its privileges. You would be special to be part of that group. Apple Computers does this as well. So anybody that has an Apple phone, you'll see people standing around the blocks to get Apple phones. That's an emotional connection. That's not just buying a product, not buying a smartphone. That's an emotional connection. And then the final thing is frustration versus consistency. And again, going back to that first slide there, it's all about the consistent high quality experience. You know pretty consistently what you're going to get with an Uber. If I call the cab company, I'm not sure what I'm going to get. I'm not sure if someone's going to show up, and that's frustrating. And no one wants to be frustrated for very long these days. And there are too many options out there for us to take advantage of that we should be frustrated at any time as a customer. Okay. So I already mentioned some of these things, the remote office advantages. So the cool thing about remote work is there is a limitless talent pool. And so if you're no longer hiring for a certain geographic region, literally you can find good people through your friends, your families, your workers, your customers. You can find great workers all across the country. So that's a great thing. Flexibility, you don't have to commute, you have more time, you can create a greater level of control over work-life balance. You don't have to pay for office space. And I'm not sure if this trend is going to continue for years to come, but my guess is it has been accelerated by the current crises. And I think we're going to have a lot more flexibility in our days and in the way we set up our work structure. And increased productivity. And so this is kind of a funny one because in some ways working from home has been a big disruption for a lot of people. A lot of people haven't figured out their natural cadence yet. You might have kids at home that might disrupt productivity. But the truth is you've also eliminated the need to commute to work. You also, as long as you have the right tools in place, you can connect with your coworkers just as easily from home, and you don't have the interruptions. So as much as it's nice to be able to walk down the hall to ask Susan or Bill about the latest update on that customer, for Susan or Bill, that's an interruption to their day that they no longer have. So people can control their workflow. They can be more disciplined, less interruptions. They can get in flows a little bit better to be more productive. I want to talk a little bit about mission statements here for a second about these three companies that I mentioned, Uber, American Express, and Zappos. And to start off with, Uber's mission statement is, transportation is reliable as running water, everywhere for everyone. And so what's really cool about what Uber has done is they've literally taken technology to create a more, I would just say, just a higher desirable customer experience. Again, I don't want to keep on beating on cab companies, but truthfully, the taxi cab experience is not very pleasant. And I will say that not every Uber experience is as pleasant as it used to be, but definitely I know I'm going to get a consistent response to my inquiry for a car when I have a need for it, and is very reliable. It's just an amazing way that they've shown that even if you're in an established industry, even if you've been doing things the same way for 30, 40, 50 years, looking at things creatively and applying technology to them can transform your life, but more importantly, you transform your customers' lives. Are there things that you could be doing in your industry to delight, to surprise, to just really excel at serving your customers and helping them see that you are going to be consistent, dependable, and reliable? And if you could do that, you could be the Uber of your industry. American Express's mission statement is, we work hard every day to make sure that American Express is the world's most respected service brand. And again, a lot of people think of American Express as a credit card, but it's really, they're a service company. And they have been ranked, I think, first in credit card satisfaction 9 times since the category was added in 2007, and they've never finished lower than second. That kind of says something about the way they track understand, stay on top of their customers, their members. They really understand who I am. I've never had a bad experience calling American Express. I've had plenty of bad experiences calling other credit card companies, but they make you feel like they know who you are, even though we all know we're calling a random person on the phone when we call them. But they have the information at their fingertips to really provide that kind of personalized experience that makes me feel maybe not valued, but definitely I don't feel marginalized. I don't feel like I'm being ignored. I feel like they know what I want and know what I need, and they know how to deliver it. And then the last one, my favorite of all, is ZAPPOS. So ZAPPOS' mission statement is pretty funny to me. It's provide the best customer service possible, deliver wow through service. So ZAPPOS sells shoes online, but this mission statement doesn't have shoes in it. There's no mention of shoes. So it's really interesting to see what their focus is. It goes back to that consistent high quality experience. If you buy shoes from them, it's so convenient. You can go and look through the different sizes and styles, and you can pick some. They'll ship them out to you. You try them on. If they don't fit, they make it easy to send it back. And they'll ship you out new sizes and styles to fit your needs until you settle on the pair that you want. And for some people, that seems like it might be onerous and like, well, why are they being so successful? Why don't I just go to the local shoe store? Well, let's face it. If you've ever bought shoes at a shoe store in the last 5-10 years, it's a horrible experience. You go into the shoe store, there's one person working and they have 5 customers they're serving. You ask for size and styles. There's a limited selection out front. If you don't have the size and style that you want right there, they have to go. They'll disappear in the back for 15 minutes, 20 minutes. Maybe they'll come back out and they'll say, "Oh, sorry, we don't have that size," and then you have to look at a different style. And this process is, in my opinion, mind-numbing. Takes forever. It's very frustrating. ZAPPOS, yes, I don't get the immediate satisfaction of walking away with a pair of shoes that I want on the first try always, but I know exactly what the process looks like, and as long as I have a little bit of patience, I can send those shoes back and forth until I get the right pair, the right size, the right style, and I can pick from an infinite selection of choices to try on. So it's a consistent experience. And so I always say to people, look, this is a shoe company, and just like with Uber, with how they transformed the taxi cab industry, if these companies can do this with their products and their services, we can do the same thing too. And so some of the values that ZAPPOS brings is what they really want to do is help their employees feel connected. And again, this really fits well in our current lifestyles of remote work, but they really want to have an importance of maintaining culture even at a distance. So they celebrate personal milestones, they schedule regular visits, even if they're remote visits. They gamify the ordinary things that people do. And so gamification is this idea of making things fun for people. You get badges, you get rewards, you get recognition. It's little things that give people some passion about what they do. Not all of us need that, but for those of you that buy into that, it's really a powerful way to get people excited about coming to work. They give recognition when it's due. They also really focus on this concept of letting their true selves shine through. So they mean by that sharing interests, building relationships between team members, building friendships. They try to encourage that kind of behavior. And overall, it's just these 4 things here: constant communication, sense of belonging, innovation is a big part of it, and fun. A lot of us miss out on this, whether we're in an office or remote work. We miss out on some of these things. We don't have the right tools to communicate constantly. We don't really feel like we're part of a bigger organization. Definitely, a lot of us kind of do things the same way we've been doing them for years, and we lose out on that innovation. And customers today expect more. So again, it goes back to that idea: we can't keep doing things the way we've been doing them for 30 years and expect the same results. We're going to have diminishing results over time. So I ask a real simple question here: is what would our lives look like if we could be the ZAPPOS of our industry? And so really what we would have is we'd have a unified collaborative team sharing experiences with each other and being friends and just really serving the customers. The other thing we would have is we'd know who our customers are and we can give them personalized experiences. And maybe there's limitations to that, but we could definitely look them up and see what their past orders were, understand if they have any service issues that they've logged, they're frustrated with. Before I try to sell them something else, I want to know if they're frustrated from their last order. I can definitely treat them with dignity and just kind of knowledge of their experience, like American Express does and Zappos does. We'd have consistent follow-ups, so things wouldn't fall through the cracks. If I have to go look something up, I could say, I'm going to look it up and get back to them, and I'd do that. I'd be true to my word and have become dependable so that they know what they're going to get with us. And we could be both effective and efficient. So, both things are desirable. So on that one slide before, I said, the best companies out there are effective, not necessarily efficient, but really the far superior companies are both effective and efficient. So not only doing the right things, but doing them very well, so that, again, it's the lowest cost, but also highest outcome for the customer. And so if we could do all these things, if we could transform our business to be the Zappos of our industry, the new reality is you'd have happier customers. Happier customers leads to more repeat business. And again, repeat business is the easiest business to get. It's a lot easier to get than new business for most industries. And then it also leads to lower stress for you and your teammates, your employers, your management team, your coworkers. Everybody has lower stress, which study after study shows happier employees, lower stress employees leads to happier customers. So this becomes a virtuous upward circle that continues to feed upon itself and to make great experiences. And so this reality, this becoming the Zappos of our industry, that's the promise of CRM. So CRM, what it does is it breaks down those silos. The whole point of CRM, there's two big pillars of value with CRM. The first is a centralized database that stores all the important information about your customers, your prospects, each other, projects you're working on, accounting information. It's all accessible through CRM, so we can all have that single pane of glass to see what's going on. And the second piece of it is this concept of an invisible personal assistant, where CRM can automate things for you and make sure that you don't forget to do that follow-up, that if you haven't talked to an accountant, it's been more than 90 days, it reminds you to do that. So it provides those two pillars of value that help you become the Zappos of your industry. And so let's talk about 5 key ways that CRM does this. So the first is, and I kind of mentioned this already, it's a centralized database. It helps you get organized and stay connected with each other, whether you're working remotely or even in an office space. You're better connected because all the information's in one place. So there's no more silos. So everyone's on the same page. There's the concept in CRM that we call a single pane of glass. So if I go look up you as my customer, I can see everything that's going on with you. Whether you were talking with me or Jolene or David or someone else in the company, I'm going to be able to see who said what to you, what requests you've made, what you've purchased. I have all that information at my fingertips, so I can have faster responses, consistent responses, more informed responses, and so I can really serve you better because I have that visibility. And the other thing that CRM does is, because it has that centralized database, it becomes a foundation for your future. So once the data starts to accumulate inside of CRM, one of the common challenges I face with companies that come to me is they're struggling with sales or competition, and they feel like they're stuck in the mud, but they don't really have any metrics around that. They don't have any like hard data around that. Once you have CRM in place, you're going to start to build that data. You're going to start to build those metrics. So your team will be able to make more informed decisions, and then you're going to be able to do things with that information, like that invisible personal assistant thing that I was talking about before. And that kind of leads to this next slide here, which is you can start to standardize, automate, and track tasks. So you can use inside of CRM, most decent CRM, Sage CRM for sure, you can do calendaring. So you can put things on the calendar, tasks, reminders, follow-ups. You can have process flows. So you can have step-by-step instructions. So a lot of our customers don't have really well-defined sales processes, and it's hard to track even if they did have them. But with CRM, you can make step-by-step instructions, which make it easier for people to stay on track to, do what needs to be done in the most effective and efficient way. You can also help train new people quickly, because then instead of being a blank sheet of paper, if I came and joined your company, I would know the system would kind of walk me through, okay, we're on step 1, now we're on step 2. And you can even have branching conditions where you say, if this is a corporate deal, go this way. If it's an enterprise deal, go this way. So you can have different flows based on different conditions. So you have complete power over how that works. And then the automation. And the automation to me is like one of the killer features of CRM these days. That's the thing that helps make sure that nothing falls to the cracks. So I send a quote to someone, it reminds me to follow up in 2 days. I have an account that has asked for something, it makes sure that the appropriate person gets that message. A lead comes in from our website, it flows immediately into my CRM, and it notifies the dispatchers that someone takes care of that person right away. Those are all things that CRM enables. And just some bullet points here real quickly. I kind of mentioned all these, but it coordinates activities for you. Automatic reminders and follow-ups get done, which leads to no more missteps. So I always like to say, no stone goes unturned when you have CRM. It gives you this invisible personal assistant. One of the things that's important to note is that with CRM is the tool itself doesn't do, it enables this, but you still have to use it properly. So a lot of times people will, once they start to get a CRM in, they'll start to adjust the way they work to take advantage of the tool. It's no different than when smartphones became available for the first time, or even cell phones before that. Not everyone had them at first, but the people that had them, if you just threw them in the drawer and didn't use them, they'd be no good. But with CRM, it enables all these things to happen. And then it's how you use it that's going to determine how much value you get out of that. The other thing that CRM does, which is really relevant to today's conversation, is CRM allows you to work from anywhere. So CRM applications, generally speaking, are web-based. So you'll have secure web and mobile access. So when I'm on the go, so I'm in the office, obviously I pull up my browser and I load my CRM. But when I'm on the go, depending on where I am, I'll either use my iPad, which has a bigger screen area so I can see more information, or I'll go to my mobile phone and I'll access the application from my mobile phone. And in the old days, before CRM, if I wanted to file about a customer, if I want to see what that customer had ordered, I would have to call someone in the office and have them email me something. Very time consuming, very clunky. Now I can just go pull up that record on my mobile application, see what they've been quoted, see what they've ordered. I can pull up proposals, I can look up product literature that they've been sent. And so if I'm going to walk into that customer site, or if I'm meeting up with them at a trade show, I can have access to that anywhere I go on my terms. I don't have to wait for another coworker to send me that. That's great for me, it's great for my coworkers because I'm not interrupting them, and it's great for my customers because I can serve them faster. Again, it's mobile friendly, accessible anywhere, dependable access 24/7 too. This is really a key thing. You can set up, and I think I might have a point coming up about this as well, but you can set up portals for your customers. So we have like a customer service portal on top of our CRM. So customers that have problems with service, they can log an issue and it goes immediately to our help desk. And you can create virtual chat agents. So the chat agent can look at a knowledge base and kind of serve up some questions for you. In the days gone by, projects like that would be, I'm just gonna say expensive, six-figure projects. But nowadays, those projects are more affordable for the small, medium-sized companies that we serve. I mean, we ourselves are a small company, and we use all these tools internally to create a great customer experience for our customers. Hopefully, if you move forward with CRM and you want to give us a shot, you'll find out for yourself. But what we do is we take advantage of all these things I'm talking about. We take advantage of them to serve our customers. It's really amazing how much power we all have at our fingertips with these CRM tools. The other thing that CRM does, and I kind of mentioned this before, which is it provides dashboards and analytics. So you can understand what your team's doing and how well it's working. One of my favorite things to mention is, like, a lot of times it's like that movie Glengarry Glen Ross, where some of the salespeople are complaining about the quality of the leads. It may be true that the lead quality is poor, but with CRM, what you can do is you can also pull up these different metrics, these dashboards, and you can see things like, how is Susan doing versus Bill? And so you can see that Susan's made 40 phone calls this week, sent out 10 proposals. She's had 12 meetings with customers to show them products and showcase products. And Bill, who's complaining about his lead flow, has done 10 meetings or 10 phone calls and 3 meetings, and maybe he's only sent out 1 proposal. And so obviously the system doesn't give you the full picture, but it certainly gives you enough extra data to know that if Bill is complaining about lead flow, it might just be possible Bill needs to work a little harder, or at least maybe do more effective tasks with his day, use his time more productively. And so a lot of times we can use that data that's in CRM to actually start to see what separates a great salesperson from a middle of the road salesperson. So we can use that information to coach, guide, and mentor people to do better, to be more productive with their day. We can also see things like what products are hot right now. And so for some of us that have had the same products for year after year, it isn't as important. But once you start to see that data flowing in CRM, you're going to see trends. You're going to see your pipeline. You're going to be able to see the accounting system's great. It shows you what's happened. But for a lot of us, we need to know what's going to happen in 6 months from now, 12 months from now. And so as much visibility as we can get, it helps us make adjustments and to tweak things to improve things, what's working and what doesn't work. There's also this concept of an early warning system that we like to talk about over here. So what I mean by that is I like people to imagine that movie War Games with Matthew Broderick, where they go to the bunker at NORAD and there's all those screens of the military screens, and by default they're all quiet. There's so maps of the United States, maybe a nuclear power register, I don't know what the heck it is, but they basically are nice quiet maps. But if the Russian sub shows off the coast of Alaska, all of a sudden a couple of the screens spring to life and the alarms start blaring. And so you can use CRM that same way. So an example of an early warning system is my accounts I haven't spoken to in the last 90 days. And that's a simple example. You can make it whatever time period you want. But the key is it will tell me I haven't spoken to these 2, 3, 4 people, and I should give them a call. So you just check in with them, make sure that they know we're still here for them. And maybe they don't buy a lot every year from us, but it doesn't mean I want them to drift away. So that kind of tells me and informs me, hey, Peter, go give them a call. Another good one I like is my deals that should have closed in the last month. So if I think something's going to close and I put it in the system for May 7th, well, when I log in on Friday, May 8th, if that deal shows up on that dashboard, something went wrong. Something needs my attention. Maybe it did close. I didn't fill out the paperwork properly, so I need to go do that. Maybe their funding fell through. Maybe I didn't mean May 7th. Maybe I just made an error and I meant June 7th. It's going to close. Either way, something needs my attention. And so in your own business, I would ask that you imagine what things would make your life easier, your customers' lives easier, if you could get an early warning popping up to notify and alert you about that. So that's kind of what I ask people to think about. And all of these things together, it's really feeding towards staying connected to your customers. And I did mention this before about the portals, but it's more than just portals. It's website integration. It's connecting with them on the go. Our customers, I already mentioned this, use a service portal, but you could have vendors submitting requests to you, submitting information to you. You can have leads flow in from your website right into your CRM. The key thing is it allows you to extend your services. So you're available 24/7, 365, and you serve people the way they want to be served. What we're finding out there, my firsthand experience is more and more people, and this probably won't surprise anybody, more and more, especially younger people, this scares me personally. I'm in my 50s, but like I read this report and it said that 65% of people would prefer to work with an agent or a database versus calling someone up on the phone to get the answers to their questions. And so that scares me because I like to think about a world of personal connections, but the truth is, if that's the way the customers want to be served, it's important for all of us to serve them the way they want, or they will find someone who does. And the positive side of it is, it's only for certain things that customers want that prospects want that. And so by serving them up with those things magically through the portals and the website integrations with CRM, it frees your people up to do the more value add, the higher value activities. So you can go out and, respond to those questions and to use your creative, human brain power to come up with solutions for your customers. So it's definitely a win-win for the customers and for you when it's presented that way. So those are the kind of the 5 key strategies, the key ways that CRM will help you be successful and become the ZAPPOS of your industry. So in summation, I kind of mentioned all 5 of these, but it helps you get organized and connected, keeps you on task. It's wherever you go, mobile and remote, and it's especially true for today's time period. It helps you make smart, informed decisions, and it connects you with your customers. And this leads to a unified collaborative team, the consistent follow-ups, those personalized experiences. You can be both effective and efficient. This is those qualities of Zappos, the qualities of Uber and American Express, the successful companies these days. This is what they're all doing. And really it all stems down to CRM allows you to deliver that consistent high quality experience that your customers and prospects are demanding these days. And by doing this, you'll become more profitable. You'll become, your brand will grow just by word of mouth and how good of a job you do. And people will keep coming back to you, which will make for higher revenue because you won't have to be chasing new business, replace lost business. So it's all very positive things. So up till now, I've kind of laid out the story of kind of what CRM can do for you. I do want to take a detour here and just talk a little bit about potential roadblocks to your path to transformation. So there are some things about CRM that we should all be aware of. A lot of companies will go into CRM thinking that they can just put it in and it'll be just a magic answer. I used the example before of a cell phone or a mobile phone. I'm sorry, a smartphone or a mobile phone. CRM is just like that. It's a tool. If you bought me the most expensive phone out there and I throw it in my desk drawer and I never turn it on, I will not get any value out of that. That will be money that we've wasted. So CRM has an issue with lower non-existent adoption that you need to be aware of, and you need to be aware that this isn't something you just turn on and it immediately starts working for you. The reason why that's so important is because obviously it leads to a loss in your investment in CRM. To me, that's not even the worst of it though. The money loss is bad. No one wants to lose money, but it's the irrecoverable time. Most of our clients that go forward with CRM, they're doing that because they need to respond to competitive threats. They need to make this transformation. They need to start serving up their customers with those high quality, consistent experiences. And so to go down this road of a CRM project and then get in 12 to 18 months and have to start over, you've lost that time you can't get back. The important thing is that it's not that you can't get there, it's just you need to be aware that it's going to take some discipline. And so some of the common challenges we see is that people try to do too much too soon with their CRM. I can't tell you the number of stories of people that are coming to me that are using spreadsheets and Outlook, and then they look at CRM, they say, I want to track these 100 fields about my customers. We advise as a best practice to go simple, keep it simple, keep it as simple as you can and still get value from the system. It will grow with you as you evolve and grow. Most people, just having the core centralized database is going to be a huge step forward for them. So don't try to bite off too much. Take a small little chunk and just do that minimum viable product and then evolve and plan to do more later. A lot of times our customers won't have a project champion, so you won't have someone that's responsible for it. So if you think about your accounting software, you have someone that's responsible for that accounting software, and they make sure that no one just goes and writes something on the back of a napkin and says, I sold X amount of product to this customer for $40. No, it has to go through the accounting system. So with CRM, it's kind of the same idea. Who's going to own it? Who's going to be responsible for it? Who has the authority to make sure that people are following the rules and the protocols that you define to make sure that it is successfully adopted? No roadmap to success is another one. So how do we get from where we are to where we want to be? Again, I see this all too often. A lot of companies will come to me and say, we just want to buy the software and get going. The truth is, it's that cell phone metaphor. You could for most companies, if they just buy the software, it ends up just being thrown in their desk drawer and they never actually use it. So you really want to have a roadmap to say, how am I going to actually use this to achieve my goals? Sometimes it's the wrong solution. One of the things I am very careful to do is make sure that any initial discussions we're talking about your needs and focusing on your needs, There's a lot of great CRM solutions out there. There's a lot of great marketing automation solutions out there. Some solutions are not the right fit for certain companies based on where they are, their industry, their needs. So it's important that you start off with the right solution. Otherwise, you can spend a lot of effort going nowhere fast. Wrong or no guidance. There's a lot of firms out there, consulting firms that probably, let me frame this positively. There's a reason why SWK leans on us. We're experts in the CRM industry. We are focused on this. We've done hundreds and hundreds of implementations. I've talked to thousands of customers, prospects looking for CRM, and we've helped hundreds. So you want to find a firm that really knows how to get you down this path to successful implementation. It's not about implementing the software. Anybody can install software. What it's about is applying the software to your business needs to make sure that your goals are met so that you thrive and prosper and serve your customers better. That's really what it needs to be focused on. Insufficient budget. Again, this kind of leans back to a common theme, which is it's not just the software. You should get some guidance in there. It'll help you out. Obviously, that's self-serving, but I can just tell you from experience that CRM has a high failure rate, and you want to avoid that. Our own CRM implementations, we have a 95% success rate with our implementations. So we really know what we're doing, and we're going to be able to guide you. But we do need to make sure that you have some room in your budget to help, for us to help you. And then not enough focus. Just make sure that you treat it seriously. We've seen people try to implement CRM during their busy seasons. That's not a good time. Put it on pause. Wait until the busy season's done. Or if you're doing an accounting system implementation or an upgrade to another major system, you're going to want to make sure that you have enough time to focus on your implementation to make sure it's successful. With CRM, it's all about building good habits around the software and using it effectively. So you're going to want to make sure that you allow for your people to have the time to learn it and also to adjust the way they do business to using this tool. So those are some of my recommendations about that. Here's some quotes. I'm not going to dwell on these, but really this one I really like from Andrew because this is what we focus on. It's not just the technology, it's best practices. Here's the problem. How do we use CRM to solve it? And I encourage you all to think about that. It's not just putting in a contact database. It's what business problems are we trying to solve and how do we do it? How do we change our culture? How do we set up the tool to properly do that? Here's another quote. This is a company that came to us. They had used another vendor to help them set up CRM, and they had been spinning their wheels for a year and a half. We came in. Our program is called On Track. It's structured, it's organized, and it helped them get up and running very quickly with the CRM system. So that's that. And so I kind of mentioned some of these things throughout the conversation, but the way we help our customers is we really have this crawl, walk, run philosophy. Start simple. Keep your projects tight. Keep the budgets smaller. Keep the scope smaller. Allow your people to absorb the changes, and then you can always move on to the next thing. We encourage people to not think about CRM implementations as a one and done thing. It's going to be evolutionary. And in fact, our best customers start off real simple, and then they have phase 2 that's 3 to 6 months down the road where it improves. And the reason why that works, and then you have another phase 3 to 6 months after that to improve it. These things, each improvement phase doesn't need to be this huge, big chunk of functionality. It's small little bite-sized pieces that you're going to add in to make the user experience better. And the reason why that's so successful is, one, it keeps things smaller at first so people can absorb the change. But two, it helps your people understand, your coworkers, your teammates, to understand, hey, this thing isn't perfect, but there's a real commitment to keep improving this to make my life easier and make my customers' lives easier. And so once people get with that culture of innovation, I mentioned that before, that innovation is a key metric to making things better at Zappos. Well, you want to kind of create that culture internally. And the way to do that is take small little bite-sized chunks. We have a proven structured methodology. We're very big on creating programs that people can follow, and we can measure where people are in that process. It's almost like a roadmap. We kind of walk people through it, and we've done it hundreds of times, so we know it works. Fixed fee, fixed scope. Again, it kind of goes to that crawl, walk, run. We want you to know what what's expected, what you're going to do to make your success happen, what we're going to do to make your success happen. We give you a fixed fee, so there's no surprises at the end. There's no stress. There's no surprises. You know exactly what you're going to get. The personal concierge. The concierge is someone who we assign to you to make sure that any question that you have gets answered quickly. If you feel like someone's not being responsive, they're going to make sure that someone's being responsive to you. It's like the concierge of a hotel. They're not going to do your dry cleaning for you, but if you need to get dry cleaning done, they're going to ask you, does it need to be done fast? Do you want the lowest cost? Do you want the most thorough? And they're going to be able to point to one of the dry cleaners in the neighborhood that'll be able to get that done. They may even walk your clothes to the dry cleaner for you and pick them up for you. That's what our concierge role does for you. It just makes sure that it all goes smoothly. And then you'll have a dedicated success coach. And the success coach is a combination project manager, functional consultant, which is a fancy way of saying someone that really knows the product and will be able to help you. They're trained to do best practices. So it's not just not just here's the software, but here's how other companies like yours have used the software successfully to reach their goals. So we're big on that best practices. And so that's kind of how we help our customers be successful. And this slide, I'm not going to read this, but essentially what we do is, because we've done this enough times, is we have a 100% money back guarantee if you go forward. Assuming that we're all on the same page, you like what you see with the software, and we go forward, we're going to do everything possible to make sure that you're successful. A lot of people are surprised that we do this, but the truth is we stand by our work. We've done this enough times that we know what it's going to take to help you be successful, and we're going to coach you to make sure that you get your return on investment out of your CRM. So that's kind of our commitment to our customers. And with that, I'm done here, Jolene. So I don't know if people have asked questions throughout, but definitely if you have questions, I'm pretty easy to get a hold of on email. I'm also on LinkedIn. I encourage people to connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm always sharing articles about CRM that can further your education. Or contact your SWK account manager or your consultant. They'll be glad to help you and put you in touch with me if that's where they feel is best served. So thank you very much for your time today, everybody. I really appreciate it. Sure.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
We'll now open it up for questions. If you have any questions, please enter them into the question section of your GoToWebinar, and we'll give that a minute in case any come through.
Yeah, but now the problem is, Jolene, I'm going to awkwardly fill the silence with random chat. So hopefully someone asks a question.
Yep, we'll give that a minute just in case any come through. Just a reminder, we do have a subject matter expert here. This is a great opportunity to have your questions answered in real time.
Yeah, hopefully I've made a good, compelling case. And this is stuff that, like I said, I really believe this is what's happening out there in the world with this drive towards greater customer experiences. And I see it in my own business. So I don't just recommend these things. We actively follow the same protocols that we recommend to our customers with great success. It really can transform your business.
Perfect. Well, I'm not, oh, I do think we just have one that came through. All right, we have one that says, do you have a particular preference to a CRM software?
I do, actually. So there's a lot of great solutions out there, which I kind of mentioned before. So I like to talk to people and figure out what their needs are before I specifically advise. But for me, the two solutions we recommend is Sage CRM. If you have a Sage accounting system, it's hard to beat Sage CRM because it has the integration built into it with the Sage accounting software. And that makes life easier, because if I'm an account manager and I have to go pull up a customer record, I can see past shipments, I can see back ordered shipments, I can see their credit limit. Having all that at my fingertips makes life so much easier for the customer and for me, and I don't have to go interrupt the accounting people. If they don't have a Sage accounting system, we recommend Microsoft Dynamics. Microsoft Dynamics has a lot going for it because it integrates so tightly with Office, Teams, SharePoint, and you can do a lot of really cool things with it. So that's kind of the two systems that we recommend.
Perfect. Okay. Well, thank you so much, Peter, for your informative presentation and for taking the time to be here today. A note for our audience. We will be sending out a link to the SWK's Business Survival Guide along with the webinar recording tomorrow afternoon. This is an excellent resource for best practices for working remotely in light of everything that is going on. For those who registered but were not able to attend, please reach out to your CAM or to SWK directly for access to the Business Survival Guide. Thank you so much for your time today. Have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thanks, Jolene.